Assalamu alaikum, my friends. Are you ready to get 8 key takeaways from the story of Revelation? Stick around. Assalamu alaikum, my friends. Welcome back to another episode of the Revelation Experience. I am Miraj Mohideen, and today we are continuing our story, talking about the story of Revelation taken all the way back from the beginning. If you remember in the previous episode, we began with the story of Adam, and some of the key takeaways from that are important to you is number 1, remember you are special, you are loved by God, right? God created Adam in just the most beautiful image, and of such high possibility, of high potential, that he even ordered the angels to bow down to Adam. And this is for us also. This is our Adamic potential. So you are beloved. You are special. Number 2, we talked about the fact that if you turn back to God, no matter what you have done, we learned in the story of Adam in Surah Al-Baqarah, if you turn back to God, God is always there waiting for you, right? Always rooting for you. Always rooting for you. And he told Adam, right? He taught him the very first lesson was Tawbah, the act of turning back to God, no matter what you've done. If you turn back, Allah is always there with open arms, waiting for us to turn back to Him. Now, number 3, we got into the story in Surah Al-Baqarah of what did God tell Adam. And now this is a really important point that I want to get into. So actually, let's replay those verses from Surah Al-Baqarah.
قُلْنَا اهْبِطُوا مِنْهَا جَمِيعًا فَإِمَّا يَأْتِيَنَّكُمْ مِنِّي هُدًى فَمَنْ تَبِعَ هُدَايَ فلا خوف عليهم ولا هم يحزنون.
He says revelation is going to come from me to you. God is saying, I am going to send down revelation, right? Probably in the form of a book. Like that. Whoever follows my revelation will have what? No fear and no grief. Such an important thing. Like, this is huge. And again, I just want to tell you all about it right now, but I can't, because we have to hold on to the Adam series for that. But he is saying, whoever follows my guidance, when it comes down to my prophets, whoever follows that message, they'll have nothing to fear, nor will they grieve. Not just in the future life, but in this life as well. So, 3 important takeaways from the story of Adam. We could do so much more, but we have a lot to cover in this sentence, right? So, we talked about Adam. Now, we have to go on to the next prophet, because that was the first prophet, and that prophet was followed by the next big prophet in this sentence, which is Noah. Now, most of you know the story of Noah, I would hope, right? Noah is the prophet who was sent to his people. And he was sent to his people because people stopped listening to the message that Adam had sent. They started creating idols. They started worshiping saints and making them demigods. And these people are mentioned in the Qur'an by name, the demigods. Maybe there were saintly, pious people, but they turned them into gods, made idols out of them, and so forth. And now Noah is sent to correct his people and to bring them back, to remind them of the promise of God. And so Noah is given revelation also. Just like God had promised Adam, he sends revelation to Noah. And Noah is sent to remind the people, oh my people, come back to the way of monotheism. Why are you worshiping these idols? Be good to each other. And he is calling on the exact same message that was given to Adam. But what happens? We all know the story. No one listens save for a few people. And ultimately, God sends, right, a big flood. And he instructs Noah, build an ark so that you can float away. Now, the ark didn't have a sail, but just to make it drive the point home, Noah sails away, or he floats away on the ark. And what we learn from the story of Noah, so much that we can take away, but some key points that we can kind of talk about with the story of Noah could be what? The importance of perseverance, of conviction, of faith. I know we're already going to run out of space. We haven't even started this lesson, and we're already going to run out of space here. Let me see if I can start squeezing in some more things here. So 1, 2, 3, 4. From Noah, we learn about conviction, okay, of faith. We learn about the fact that even if you are a stranger in the world and you feel like you are paddling upstream and the rest of the world has forgotten God, so long as you hold on to the remembrance of God, to the message that was given to Adam, as long as you hold on to that, you will be saved. That is your ark. Your belief will be your ark in difficult times when a flood will come and wipe away those who mocked the messengers and mocked those who followed the messengers. So if we talk about for conviction, we could say point number 5 in the story of Noah would be what? Is that it's okay to be alone. Okay? A lot more we can talk about, but let's just leave it at that. Now, after Noah, the flood wipes out all the bad folk. Noah is there, he repopulates, and then people fall away from the message again. Why do people keep falling away from the message, guys? I don't know. It's because it's human nature. We are forgetful. We always want to take the path of least resistance. And after a while, it just becomes about the rules again, not about what the rules enable us to do, which is to stay close to God, to live a life of no fear and no grief, the promise of revelation. We forget all that, and we just think about it as this burdensome rule set. And so the people around Abraham's time had already turned to idolatry. His own father was an idol maker, but Abraham has this soundness of heart to turn against his father's beliefs, and he sets on a path to find God for himself. So the story of Noah goes to the story of Abraham, and we are going to go deep into the story of Abraham because Abraham, peace be upon him, is the central prophet of the story. I mean, if you look at it, just the entire schematic here, Abraham's in the middle of the sentence. He is the prophet of Islam. Muhammad, peace upon him, is not the prophet of Islam. Muhammad, peace upon him, is the one, and this, I didn't realize this. Muhammad, peace upon him, is the one who brought us back to the religion of Abraham. This deen, this religion of Islam, is the religion of Abraham. I mean, consider that the most important holiday that we have is the Hajj. It commemorates Abraham. Right? Just think about that. It's incredible. Imagine that the Prophet, peace upon him, had one son after he was a prophet, and he named that son, Ibrahim, after his forefather Abraham. I mean, Abraham is the central prophet, right? Now, Abraham teaches us, and his story teaches us again that we are special, that if we ever turn to God, God is there for us. He taught us that you should never have fear, nor will you grieve. In his own life, when everyone thought he should be terrified of being thrown into a fire and so forth, he was not scared because God's promise of revelation was true for Abraham. He believed, and so Abraham had no fear and no grief. Abraham had incredible conviction, and he was okay being alone. These are all stories from the previous prophets. Abraham taught us that you need to go on your own personal journey so that you in your heart can find God. And you have to search with sincerity. If there was one thing about Abraham, he taught us about sincerity. If you have a sincere, sound heart, right? We call this qalbus salim, a firm, fixed, sound heart. You have no question. You have no, I wonder if, and I don't know, and nothing. You are convinced of God because you went on a journey to find him, and you're willing to give up everything to develop a connection with God. When you have that, you become Abrahamic. And that's what Abraham taught us, amongst many other things. And again, we will dive into that story. But so that we can finish this narrative, after Abraham had incredible progeny, right? Isaac and Ismail, alayhi salam. And Isaac gives rise to Jacob, his son, who is also known as Israel. And so he is the head of the Bani Israel. And I will draw out all these family trees for you and everything else. But what we know is that Abraham told his sons, don't forget the way. And so did Isaac, and so did Jacob, as did Ismail Islam. But these prophets who are in between these two, as much as they reminded people again and again and again, they keep losing the way, right? They get the message and then they lose the way. And so another prophet has to be sent with a message, right? Now, I didn't want to leave out here, but God sent Abraham a revelation, a book. And this book is known as the Suhuf, or the scrolls of Abraham. We know about this from the Qur'an. Abraham was sent a book. And then Moses comes after Abraham. And we know that Moses, peace be upon him, is also sent a book, right? The Torah, and the commandments. And Moses now has to tell his people, the Bani Israel, don't forget the way of our forefathers Isaac, Jacob, and Isaac, and Abraham, going all the way back to Adam. Moses is telling the same story to the Jews that Abraham told to his people in Iraq, current day Iraq, that Noah told his people in probably Mesopotamia, that Adam told his people. It's the same story, guys. Nowadays, Christians like to say it's a different story. Jews like to think it's a different story. As Muslims, we believe it's the same story. How could it not be? Because God promised Adam that revelation will come down, and whoever follows my revelation will have nothing to fear, nor will they grieve. In this way, every time God sends down a prophet, it's a mercy to us, because otherwise we would have lost the user's manual. So God knows, hey, look, your forefathers, your great-grandfather, he threw away the user's manual. I'm going to send another prophet so you can have it. So you have no excuses. And he sent prophet after prophet after prophet to every nation. But these are the main ones, the main 6 prophets, okay? Now, after Moses comes the next big prophet, and that is our beloved, beautiful prophet, Jesus, peace be upon him. We say Jesus Christ because we as Muslims believe that Jesus was in fact the Messiah, something that the Jewish tradition denies. And we believe that God sent revelation down to Jesus as well, peace be upon him. And that revelation we call the Injil, or the gospel of Jesus, not the gospel of Mark or Luke or Matthew or John, but the gospel according to Jesus himself. Where is that gospel now? We don't know. We don't have it. But we as Muslims believe God promised Adam, and his promise was true, that whoever follows my revelation, when it comes down, the guidance, they will have nothing to fear, nor will we grieve. And we see in the life of Jesus a man who is fearless, a man who is not living in fear and not living in grief, because he's following the promise of his Lord. And we believe that Jesus told his people, you have to follow me. Because see, what Jesus was doing is he was teaching what Moses taught his people. See, Moses taught his people that we are special. We are chosen people. If we turn back, God is always forgiving to us. He's always rooting for us. Like he was rooting for the Hebrews. Don't have fear and don't have grief at the Red Sea. Moses taught us to have conviction, believe that God will save us. It's okay to be alone. Moses had to go up for 40 nights to be alone, right? Because his people were forsaking him. Moses had incredible sincerity. Moses also taught us, sorry, I'm going back because I wanted to include this. Moses taught us also, number 7, what would you say? That the process of becoming a prophet, a great prophet, it is a process. Moses was not Moses overnight. It was a trust-building exercise with God. He had to come to God one step at a time, and the more he walked to God, the more God ran to him, such that at the moment where he had to be there to part the Red Sea, he had no questions whatsoever because he had built up a relationship with God. Moses teaches us that the path towards God is a process. It's not an instant kind of thing that you're just blessed with right away. You have to walk that path. Jesus taught us that don't focus on the rules too much. The rules are important. Jesus says, I am here. Right? We know in the Qur'an, Jesus is confirming the Torah and the Injil, the gospel that is given to him. But much of Jesus' message is about, remember, folks. Remember, keep your eyes on the prize. It's not just about the rules for the sake of the rules. It's about what the rules are taking you towards. Jesus taught us to do what? He taught us to be motivated from within, not for some rewards or not just to follow the rules for the sake of the rules, but for what the rules get us to. In many ways, Jesus taught us and reminded us to stay intrinsically motivated. That's a big word, I know. We will get into that because it's too much to get into right now, because I want to get to the life of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and teach you the Qur'an in your timeline. But what are we seeing in all this, folks? We're seeing already 8 lessons in this story from Adam, Noah, Abraham, Moses, Jesus, peace be upon them all. We're learning that we are special. We are God's beautiful, beloved creation. We are learning that no matter what we do, if we turn back to God, God is always rooting for us. He always wants to scoop us up again. He loves us more than our parents love us. As children, when we do something bad and we turn to our parents will always scoop us up. God is so much more, infinitely more loving and forgiving than our parents are to us. We learn that if we follow guidance, we'll have nothing to fear, nor will we grieve. We learn that if we have sound conviction, we can achieve anything. It's okay to be alone, Noah taught us. Even if the whole world is thinking that life is godless and that there's no meaning in life, it doesn't matter. We should be convinced in ourselves and hold on to the ark, and we will float away to safety. We've learned that sincerity of heart is the most important part of a believer. We've learned that developing a relationship with God is a process that takes time, and there could be ups and downs like we see in the story of Moses, but as long as you keep stepping one foot in front of the other, you will achieve and succeed when you have your Red Sea moment in your life. Wow, this is getting deep now. We are learning that we have to stay intrinsically motivated. There's a famous quote by Jesus that says that the Sabbath was created for man, man wasn't created for the Sabbath. Think about that. The rules are there to elevate us to our highest self, to our Khalifa selves, so that we are representatives of God, not so that we have to obey the rules. So let's not get this mixed up. We were going to get into this very deeply, intrinsic motivation. Okay. Jesus also told us something else really important. He warned the Hebrews that after me will be another prophet, and the final prophet. Take a listen.
وإذ قال عيسى ابن مريم يا بني إسرائيل إني رسول الله إليكم مصدقا لما بين يدي من التوراة ومبشرا برسول يأتي من بعد اسمه أحمد فلما جاءهم بالبينات قالوا هذا سحر مبين.
Ooh, cliffhanger here. Who is Ahmed? Ahmed is coming, but who is Ahmed? We are going to get to that in the next episode when we talk about the story of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. But we're going to have to wait till the next episode because I'm trying to keep these short. So I'm cutting these episodes into shorter episodes so that you guys can stick along with me for the ride. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode right here. Let me know in the comments how this is working out for you. Always love to hear from you guys. Make sure you share, subscribe, like, and make sure you go to my website, therevelationexperience.com, where you can get all of this material, PDFs, my free audiobook that takes you through Revelation from the beginning all the way till the end. It's all for you guys to have, all for you to enjoy. I can't wait to see you guys in the next episode, inshallah. I will see you guys soon. Assalamu alaikum.